Hey, nice to meet you all. I'm Anna. Today I'll be talking about data as an asset class and its role in AI. Quick intro on me. I got into crypto through an interest in traditional currency. So I was really into central banks. I had a picture of Janet Yellen in my high school bedroom, and then worked at the Fed in high school, got to MIT and learned about decentralized currencies, started mining ETH, and got really fascinated in kind of what you can accomplish with decentralized systems. Then I was doing some research at CSAIL, which is MIT's AI lab, and I always wanted data to be able to train on that was inside the walled gardens of big tech, so I kind of couldn't get the best data sets to train on. I think most people know AI models are only as good as their training data, but it's helpful to break down what data models are actually trained on today. So typically, pre-training happens, which is kind of the big training step. We're just giving all this data to models on public internet data. Actually, maybe to get a sense, who has trained an AI model before? Like AI versus crypto? OK, so more like crypto-heavy audience. Yeah, you basically just teach an AI model that's kind of like giving it experiences if you're teaching a kid. And typically, it's just public internet data, so Common Crawl, essentially scrape the whole public internet. Most training data and data that's generated is private, not public. So this small public internet data, that's what we train AI models on today. But most data that we could teach AI from is actually behind the walled gardens of different permissions or sign-in. And one of the things that we're running into from an AI research perspective is called the data wall, where we're actually running out of data to train AI on. So if you take the whole public internet and you just take the high-quality stuff, it's around 15 trillion tokens, kind of words. And we've already used that to train frontier models. So if we want to train better AI models, we need somewhere to get better data. Data is both an issue of quality and quantity. So DeepSeek kind of overcame this using really high quality data, where they actually hired PhD students to generate math and computer science kind of reasoning data. And Mercor is selling a lot of this data as well. Companies have realized that their data is really valuable, and they've locked down access to it so they can charge as much as possible for it. So you have platforms like Reddit, PhotoBucket, Stack Overflow. Some of them are changing their API terms to make it harder for people to access data so that they can kind of charge as much as possible. Something a lot of people don't realize is that users have full legal ownership of all of their data. So in the same way that when you park your car in a parking lot, the parking lot doesn't own your car. When you put your data in a platform, it's entirely legally yours. So you can go to any platform that you use, whether it's Tesla, Google, 23, or me, you can always actually get your data out. Sometimes it's inconvenient. So what Vana does is really unlocks data from walled gardens and puts it into users' control. You can kind of think about data on Vana as acting like a programmable currency. So one of the main applications people build today are these data DAOs, where essentially you're tokenizing a data pool that's owned by users. So you have a large group of people export their data from platforms, have it verified and pool it, and then be able to decide what happens to it. So there's a car data DAO, which is aggregating Tesla data, selling that to car battery companies. DevDoc is a coding copilot, which basically takes data out of a VS Code plugin and contributes it. And there's the Reddit data DAO, which is one of the largest ones with 140,000 users. One of the core economic units behind the data DAO is a VRC20 token, which is a data-backed tradable asset. So each data set is tied to a VRC20 token, and when data contributors contribute verified data, they earn that data token. And then when a data buyer accesses data, they burn that token to access it. And the access happens in a secure compute environment, so you can kind of think about the data as being rented instead of sold. One of the things we're excited about right now is bringing data markets to Solana. I included a DM from Nate who was just asking about how to launch a data DAO on Solana, because I thought this might resonate with some of the audience. But essentially, there are lots of great builders whose home is Solana, but still want to be able to use a lot of the data access and kind of data capital features of Vana. So what we're doing is kind of making a way to be able to trade data tokens on Solana while still using Vana as the universal data layer for verification and access. What that does is it kind of makes sure the data capital is available on Vana, but gives you the robust on-chain liquidity of Solana. If you want to launch a data DAO, you can do it in a long weekend. We have Memorial Day coming up. So first, you just choose a data set. You don't need permission from the platform or anything like that, because you're using individual data rights. You can launch your data DAO. Probably takes 30 minutes to get a template one set up, and then you can modify it, and then really kind of scale and monetize. So being able to grow your data set and monetize it for AI training and analytics. One model we're working on right now is called Collective One, which is the first user-owned foundation model. This training is led by Flower AI, which is like a Web2 AI company, but it's doing full pre-training across all the data in all the different data DAOs. And so what's interesting about that is you're able to access data that isn't on the public internet, right? It's this private data to actually train better and better AI. Something I'll mention too is if you already have user-owned data, you can turn that into a data DAO and plug it into AI model training like Collective One and kind of access that data demand on Vana. Finally, I'll mention Vana Academy, which is an accelerator program with 9 weeks of expert support on kind of how to build a data business. In this new age of AI, we think that data is kind of the most important asset underlying all of it. But building with data is really weird, right? There are a small number of people who buy data and understand how to monetize it. So we're bringing in kind of some of the largest data buyers in the world, people who understand how to source and have collected data for big tech companies, and also understand how to think about the economic design that should go behind kind of data tokens and data as an asset class. And so if you're thinking about building a data DAO or otherwise building with user-owned data, this is a great program too. Great, that's everything. Thanks so much.